Good morning. Have you gone through the question paper? If you see the question paper, okay, it was a difficult question paper, not an easy, not an moderate, but it was a difficult question paper. Why it is a difficult question paper? If you will compare the previous year's question paper, okay, last 2-3 years question paper, then the difficulty level is higher than past 3-4 years question paper. Why? Because in past 3 years question paper, they are asking question more in the direct way. But this question paper is not very direct. And if it is direct, then they are asking you to be pinpoint precise. Fine. And the very first question, if you will see the very first question of this question paper, the judgment related to that question discuss the corrupt practice. You know the judgment on this case given by the Supreme Court on 14th of August. Just 10 days back, judgment came of Supreme Court. I'll show you. Fine. So Supreme Court judgment came just 10 days back. Maybe it is a coincidence because usually question paper prepared minimum 20 to 30 days in advance. 20 to 30 days in advance, question paper is being already prepared and sent to the certain areas. For example, from Delhi to Hyderabad and other places where the mains is going to be conducted. But see the coincidence. Just few days back, the judgment came and the so-called, I'm using the word so-called, the Hindu and Indian Express, they have not reported that case. It is reported by all leading you can say those websites who are focused on judgments and all, fine, they have focused, and Hindustan Times have reported that case. Whereas mainstream newspaper, they have missed. Fine, they have missed, they have not reported it yet. I have thoroughly checked. This case is not reported neither by the Hindu nor by the Indian Express. Fine, so what to do? What to do in such case? So this is why I'm saying that, and this is the classic tactic of UPSC. What they do, they will put the very first question to demoralize you. The very first question is going to what? Demoralize you. And once you are demoralized, then you will be what? It will take some time to recover. Okay, and by the time you will lose the question. Even basically this paper is of 3 parts. Fine. Polity and governance, polity, social issues and governance, and third is international relations. So even if you see the international relations question, governance question, fine. Typical governance question, civil society. Fine, e-governance. Favorite topic of whom? UPSC. Favorite topic of UPSC, civil society and e-governance. And that is the love of UPSC which UPSC cannot miss. So they have asked this question. But in the international relations question, they have asked the question, India-Africa. But once you will go and write the India-Africa, you will not get the proper point. Question was actually UPSC Civil Services PSIR level question. Question was not just a direct question, easy question, you can easily write it. The last question, the very last question if you'll see here. Fine. Now, first you will read the reform process in United Nations. UN reforms pe question aa gaya. What we was expecting. See, when we study the United Nations system, structure of the United Nations, reforms in the United Nations, and especially United Nations reforms in the Security Council. These are the major 3 areas: existing UN structure, then UN reforms, UN peacekeeping, and UNSC reforms. These are the 4 major themes of UN when we study in the classes. Now, see the question. The reforms process in the United Nations remains unresolved because of delicate imbalance of East and West and entanglement of USA versus Russo-Chinese alliance. Fine. So this entanglement, if you are not getting the point of entanglement, what is entanglement? Fine. And they are asking for what? East and West and entanglement of this. Examine and critically evaluate East-West policy confrontation in this regard. Fine. So this question is of not Indian foreign policy. It is not of Indian foreign policy. They are asking question on world politics, international politics. Fine. So this is not typical question of what? Indian foreign policy. This is a question of what? This is a question of international politics. And it is not easy to answer for those students who do not have an in-depth knowledge of what? International relations. Fine. So it is not UN reform question. It looked like a simple, straightforward United Nations reform question, but it is not. See the other question. Now see what they're starting. Energy security. So energy security is one of the bedrock of Indian foreign policy. In fact, the tussle between India and US. India and US are right now at opposite front. Why? US is blaming India. You are purchasing oil from whom? Russia. And India is saying that yes, we are purchasing because we want to secure our energy sources. So energy security in the present context, fine, in the 21st century, energy security is a biggest challenge for Indian foreign policy. Maintaining a balance, purchasing oil from Russia, purchasing oil from US also, purchasing oil from Middle East. What Mr. S. Jaishankar said day before yesterday. We are purchasing oil from Russia, we are purchasing oil from US also. Fine. Now see the question. Energy security constitutes the dominant kingpin of Indian foreign policy, and it is linked with India's overreaching influence in Middle Eastern countries. How would you integrate energy security with Indian foreign policy trajectories in the coming years? In the coming years, not at present. In the coming years. And I'm right now online with all the students who are here, and I'll tell you this question paper, half of the questions which are statement based, they are made by AI. These are the AI based questions, because I also do this thing, so I know how to do that. Fine. You just ask to make it more difficult, and then this language is going to be used by whom? AI. So AI uses this language, but for that you also have some skills to use that AI. AI is like Ferrari. Fine. How you are going to use it, that matters. And how much you have paid for it also matters. What you are using the free, or you are using the paid, or you are paying for higher level reasoning, because generally they have 3 level: free, then for certain people who can use on regular basis, then who want in-depth knowledge and understanding, in-depth research. Of course you have to pay $100 or $200 in a month. Then they will provide you very higher level of reasoning and understanding. Then you can use that one and go to such level, because the preciseness of the statement is not very possible at that level who are making the question. Humans. So it is a AI generated question. So welcome to the artificial intelligence of UPSC. Fine. And I was having this doubt in the prelims exam also, because the way I'm telling you now, I'm using that artificial intelligence for past 5 years. When it was not in the properly public domain, beta version was there, I'm using from there. I'm a technological enthusiast person. So I'm using that thing for past 5 years. So I know that how it has evolved over the period of time. Fine, how it has evolved over the period of time and how it will behave. Especially when you are going to ask a question. Fine. So you can expect not easy question in the upcoming exam. See, I'm telling you again, they are not asking energy security. They are asking for upcoming years. Means from here to 2047. When you are going to enter in the 100th year of what? Your independence. Then how you will secure yourself? And here, the catch, the energy security. When the energy security comes in our mind, what comes in our mind? Securing oil supply. Securing the oil supply. This is what usually come in our mind. we should have good relation with those countries who are having all resources. This is what usually come in our mind. But here is a catch. Here, energy security is not limited to what? Not limited to conventional energy. It is also asking you to incorporate nuclear energy. Fine, for which India is thriving. So even I openly telling you, this is even not a question which can easily answer even by the student who is having political science as an optional. It is not easy for them to answer. So that is why I am saying that the question paper was not easy, not moderate. It was what? Difficult question paper. And now the catch. Whenever the question paper is difficult, the treat is going to the good students. Fine. And usually you are going to score very well if you have did a good amount of hard work for the entire year. Students usually complains me, sir, you always make a very difficult question paper. Always. Fine. If question paper is made by me, you are not able to solve. That is always my goal. And you can see this question paper. Though some questions are what? Some questions are predictable questions. Like we have did the Attorney General in the class. Fine, Attorney General is being done in the class. Question is on Attorney General. But see the language of the question. See the language of the question. Question is not direct question. Question is coming what? Question is on statement. Fine. Question is not direct question. See the inverted commas. The Attorney General of India plays a crucial role in the guiding of legal framework. फिर से same line AI. Fine. ये ChatGPT का word है. These lines used by ChatGPT. Fine. When you push it very hard, fine, and you train it very hard, fine, it is not going to use the language normally. But when you are going to use it in a very precise manner, continuously, putting again and again feedbacks, asking to refine and refine and refine, then it will go to that level. Now, read the question. The Attorney General of India plays a crucial role in the guiding and legal framework of the union government and ensuring sound governance. Fine. Sound governance. Now, Attorney General and sound governance. Attorney General is going to help Government of India for what purpose? Legal matter. Legal matter. Now they have added what? Sound governance. Sound governance through legal counsel. Sound governance through legal counsel. Now you should have the knowledge of governance. You should have sound knowledge of what? Governance. You should have sound knowledge of polity. Then both sound should be mixed, and that mixed sound should be used here. And see, the question is of what? 10 marks. Question is of 10 marks. This question should be of 15 marks. This question cannot be answered properly in the 10 marks. So question is not only difficult. You cannot write the question properly because you have to write in 150 words. That is why I am saying that question paper is difficult. Fine. It looks, for whom it just looks easy. Question is on Attorney General. Question is on RPA. Question is on Administrative Tribunal. So see, question is on what? RPA. Question is on Administrative Tribunal. Question is on President's power. Fine, of pardon. Question is on Attorney General. Question is on women's social capital. Women issue is one of the prominent issue in the governance. E-governance. Question is expected. Then civil society. Question is expected. India, Africa. Modi ji was roaming here and there in the Africa for past 1 year. This African country, that African country. So it was expected. It was expected. Fine. Africa. Fine. Then globalization. One of the favorite topic, globalization, deglobalization. Constitutional morality. Fine. Constitutional morality तो मेरे सपने में आ रहा था. Fine. Those people who are in the Telegram group. Fine. For the political science and international relations. I have shared at least 3 times on constitutional morality. 3 times I have shared. Different way. Constitutional morality. For PSI students. And in the GS paper, we have also put the question on constitutional morality. And ironically, one question like constitutional morality, and after that, Indian Constitution have conferred the amending power. Fine. This amendment question, again, it It is not a kind of a promotion, just telling you one fact. I was discussing one question paper of PSIR, test paper number 7, which we have conducted for 2026 student, PSIR question paper. And in that question, same question. Fine, amendment power. Language is different, but question theme is same. So, that questions of PSIR and this question of general studies almost have the same language. So that shows ki how UPSC is not going to spare you. They are going to ask even a good quality question. Fine, a good quality question they are going to ask. So, amendment power, again, conventional topic. Fine. Discuss the evaluation of collegium system. Fine. Collegium system, again, expected topic. It is not something which is unexpected question. Topic is not unexpected. See, from question number 1, RPA, it is expected or unexpected? Expected means it is not something surprising. Ki acha ye bhi hota hai polity mein. It's not like that. You are not going to feel like that ki something they have asked which I have never heard or I have not given through properly. Fine. Most of the books, including Lakshmi, have proper chapter on what? RPA. Fine. RPA. Now, second question, administrative tribunal. Fine, separate chapter. Fine. Then this one, Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir Assembly is consistently in the news. From 2020 onwards, it is consistently in the news because of different matter. First, they are shouting ki why you are not creating, why you are not creating, why you are not creating. When it is being created, how you have created in this way. I am going to challenge in the court. Okay, let's go to the court. Is it right? Court said yes, it is right. Acha. Why you are not conducting the election? Why you are not conducting the election? Election is being conducted. But wait. How you are going to conduct the election? On what basis? Have you did the delimitation? Election Commission said that, okay, fine, we'll do the delimitation. How you can do the delimitation in this way? How you can do the delimitation this way? Delimitation should be done in this way. No, it will be done in this way. Okay, let's go to the Supreme Court again. So Supreme Court has given the verdict and said that, you know, what delimitation is being done, it is right. Then other state got provoked. Okay, for example, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, they reached to the Supreme Court, they said that on the same basis we want in our state. Supreme Court says no. But reference was what? Jammu and Kashmir delimitation. Fine. Now election happened. After election, again whom? Chief Minister is crying. You have taken all the powers. We do not have any power. Why it's such so? Lot of articles are being written for the power of what? Jammu and Kashmir? UT. Fine. And its power. हिंदू ने इतने बड़े आर्टिकल लिख दिए फाइन कि this is completely a kind of what a betrayal with the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Fine. Jammu and Kashmir Assembly have different distinct feature and even they do not have the power what Delhi and Puducherry have. Fine. Delhi and Puducherry have. So see, discuss the nature of Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly. After the Jammu and Kashmir Recognition Act 2019 briefly described power and functions of the Assembly of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. अब आपको पावर एंड फंक्शन बताना है. फाइन. किसका? जम्मू एंड कश्मीर असेंबली का. And I am 100% sure, not 99.9, 100% sure, 99% भी नहीं, 100% sure, no teacher have taught this thing in the class. And that is why UPSC have asked. Nowhere. I also teach certain areas of polity, and in order to remain competitive and remain productive, I usually compare what other people are teaching. I usually compare. Fine. So no one have went through the proper detailed notes of the functioning of what? Jammu and Kashmir. Even in the books is not there, na? Books is being revised on usually annual basis. Books are being revised. Fine. So UTs are there. UT's chapter is there. In most of the books, you will find the chapters on whom? UT. But you will not find a dedicated mention of what? That is why question paper is difficult. Fine. Now, Attorney General, statement based, women's issue, e-governance, civil society, fine, India, Africa, fine, globalization, constitutional morality, then you will go for Indian constitution amendment process, fine, evolution of collegium. 14th question, if you will go, examine and evolving center-state finance relation. Wow, wow, wow. Center-state finance relation is one of the hot topic in the center-state relation. Fine. Finance commission immediately will come in your mind. Center-state finance relation, what will come? Finance commission. But see how they have dodged you. Examine an evolving pattern of center-state finance relation in the context of planned development. Planning system have abandoned after 12th 5-year plan. So 12th 5-year plan 2012 to 2017. After that, planned economic development is nowhere in the picture. Fine, but they are asking right now. So they are not asking the question on just a center-state finance relation. They are asking you to center-state finance relation in the context of what? Planned development in India. And most of the students, they will not able to pick the question. Fine, and they are going to end up writing what? Center-state finance relation. Because planned development is not in the discourse. Fine, that is not being discussed. So again, you will feel what? Very difficult. And this time they have asked this question in 20 marker. And further they are asking, how far the recent reforms impacted fiscal federalism in the India? What you are going to add in the recent reforms? What you will add in the recent reforms? And to what extent they are taking this recent? What is the definition of recent here? For how many years? Because they have asked recent. Fine, recent may be of 3 months, recent may be of 6 months, recent may be of 1 year. So what frame you are taking? What frame you are taking? So you will not able to pick the question. Because question is being put very cleverly. Very cleverly they have put the question. And that is why I am saying that it is not possible for human intelligence. It is not possible for human intelligence to pinpoint in such a way that people need 2 to 3 minutes in order to understand the question. Abhi dekho question kya hai? Read it again. Examine the evolving pattern of center-state finance relation in the context of planned development in India. Fine. How far have the recent reforms impacted fiscal federalism in India? I told you. Tell me honestly, all of you in the class, tell me honestly, how many of you know that the 5-year plan was ended through 12th 5-year plan, duration was 2012 to 2017. How many of you know that? Few people know that. Now, here you have to pick. When this government came into the power in 2014, what they have did? They abolished the planning commission. What they said that the planning commission need to advise, not to decide. So we need a body who can advise, who can evaluate, and who can provide the feedback and active support. Not a decision maker. We do not need a decision maker. We need what? We need a organization or agency which can support us. So planning commission started with what? Planning, but it became a decision making body, and that is why we are abolishing that. So if you will abolish how the finances between center and state will be improved. Then government have formed Team India. Comprising of what? Comprising of Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma? No. Comprising of whom? Prime Minister and Chief Minister of the states. And they called it as a Team India, and they have pushed for the concept of cooperative federalism. So what you have to do from 2014 onwards, what initiatives has been taken by the government of India to consolidate planning? Fine. And improving center-state finance. So question is on GST. This question is on what? This question is on GST. Fine. So you have to answer about what? GST, the biggest reforms happen in the present context. which have evolved the center-state finance relation. But in very first, second instance, you will not pick this. आपको नहीं pick कर पाओगे. You are not able to pick, especially under the pressure situation in the examination hall where the time is ticking, 3 hours and 2 lengthy questions. If I will remove this now, bold letters, 250 word. No question in this question look like a 10 marker. Every question in this question paper look like a what? 15 marker. It is, for me, it is like deja vu, because I also do this same thing. Fine, while making the question paper, I also do the same thing to harass the student. to push your limit. Fine. Not to go for strictly previous year's question paper based only theme, because UPSC means catch me if you can. Okay, so push you in such a way, use your all cognitive faculty, knowledge, understanding, what you have studied till then now. Fine, use each and everything, then you will able to pick that question. And by the time you will pick that question, you already lost 2 minutes to write that answer. Then you speed up, and when you speed up, you will lose. Fine, so this is the ultimate test. Now, environmental pressure group. Fine, pressure group is always expected, pressure group. But typically, pressure group is question related to the politics rather than polity. Fine, it is pressure groups in India, they are here. Usually it is taught in what? Usually it is taught in political science. Fine, Indian government and politics. Fine, so pressure group. Anyways, over the period of time, pressure groups in India started playing a bigger role, whether it is environmental movement or movement by the farmers. So pressure group have got the prominence, and that is why usually books are using the pressure group chapter. Now, environmental pressure groups. Fine, usually farmers pressure group, industries pressure group, fine, you will find. But there is very few organizations are there which can be categorized as what? Environmental pressure group. So what students mostly are going to fall? They will have to write environmental pressure, discuss the role, raising the awareness, influence the policies, advocating for the environmental protection in India. So do you remember one government project starting in Andaman Nicobar Islands? Great Nicobar project. So that Great Nicobar project is consistently in the news for past 1.5 years. And in that context, they are asking the question, why? Because not only pressure groups, certain political parties are also using that leverage, and they are protesting against whom? Government project. So now certain political parties are also acting as a pressure group. Fine. Inequality in its ownership pattern of the resources is one of the major causes of the poverty. Discussed in the context of paradox of poverty. Fine. So, this question of paradox of the poverty. Fine. So, if a person have not read Amartya Sen properly, if you have not read the Amartya Sen and Jean Des properly, it is not possible for you to crack this question. कि what to write in this question? आपको बिल्कुल नहीं समझ में आएगा. Until unless you have studied whom? Amartya Sen's approach. And why poverty question? Because 2 months back, what happened? One World Bank report came, and they have mentioned that poverty have substantially decreased in where? In India, and that has created a firestorm in Indian politics and academicians also. So academicians for past 25 to 30 years, they are claiming that, what they are claiming? They are claiming that what poverty we do have, actually it is not reflected properly. What poverty we do have in our system, it is not properly reflected. Fine. Second, the data which we are collecting, methodology is wrong. So that is why our poverty data is incorrect. And then World Bank has given the data that poverty is being what? Substantially reduced. Though it is not, according to certain scholars. And that is a paradox. On the data, it is what? On the data, it is reduced. But actually, when you will go for the consumption expenditure data and other data, you will find that it is at same. Fine. So you need a approach of whom? Amartya Sen and Jean Des when they went for the capability approach. So they have used the capability approach. And one more thing, income and consumption. So how you are going to calculate the poverty? On the basis of per capita income or on the basis of per person consumption? Per person, but usually it is calculated on the basis of what? Per capita income. Fine. And see how government of India very cleverly have used the multi-dimensional poverty index. So there is internationally recognized method. Fine. Internationally recognized method which used 10 indicators. Government of India said that we will use 12 indicators. Fine. International indicator is using how many indicators? 10 indicators. Government of India said that 10, we are going to use how much? 12. So who have more comprehensive approach? Government of India, if I am giving you this data, international level, they are using how many standards? 10 standards. But Government of India said that no, we are going to use how much? 12 indicators. So which one is look more comprehensive? Indian approach, but answer is no. Why? Because you are using, see, when we are having 10 indicators, so we have to give weightage to every indicator. We are going to use how much? We are going to use 10 indicators. Okay. So if we are going to use 10 indicators, then what we have to do? Every indicator gets some weightage. Fine. So suppose A, B, C, D and E. 5 indicators we are using. Okay. And to indicator A, we are giving 40% weightage. To indicator B, we are giving 30% weightage. Now, to this, we are giving 20% weightage. Fine. How much is left? 10% is left. 6% to this indicator and 4% to this indicator, we have given the weightage. Now, Government of India is saying that we are also going to include what? F and G indicator to make it more comprehensive. But how? You are going to take weightage from here and here. So if you have taken 10% from here and 10% from here, so now what will happen? This indicator is going to have weightage of how much? 30%, and it is going to have what? 20%, and you have put here 10% and here you have what put? 10%. Then what will happen? Then automatically these two important indicators to measure the poverty, their weightage will be what? Decrease. So automatically the number of people who are in the poverty will be what? Decrease. So that is poverty paradox. What exactly it is not being reflected. We are seeing in the data that poverty is being what? Decreased. But actually it is not. Actually it is not. So you should have very sound knowledge of what? Poverty related issues. And usually poverty is in this way, what I am discussing, I discuss in my economics lecture, not in the polity lecture, not in the governance lecture. That need to be precise knowledge of what? Precise knowledge of the indicators which is being used in order to address this question. And they ask this question in paper 2. This question is of actually paper 3. Poverty paradox. Fine. That is why question paper is difficult. Fine. That is why the question paper is difficult, not an easy question paper. Okay. In contemporary development models, decision making and problem solving responsibilities are not located close to the source of information, execution, defeating the objectives of development. Fine. So, what question is, on what theme they have asked this question? On what theme? It is a theme on governance. Fine. It is a theme on governance. Actually, in this file, one word is missing, that is e-governance. Fine. In this question, what the PDF it is being here. In this question, This question is actually, if you'll see the original question paper, it is in the context of what? E-governance. So now they are asking the question in context of what? E-governance in the contemporary development models. Decision making and problem solving responsibilities are not located close to the source of information and execution, defeating the objectives of development. Critically evaluate. So do you know about the development models? Of course you know, because the development models we are going to study in paper 3. It related to its execution is related to the governance. Development models itself is not part of the governance. The execution of that development models are the part of governance. But unfortunately, again, they have asked this question here. Though this question should go to what? Again, paper 3. Now, going for what? National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Fine. Usually, when the National Commission based question will come, National Commission for Women, National Commission for Child, National Commission for SC, ST and OBCs. Fine. So there are multiple national commissions. So they are usually asking the question on women, SC, ST. Fine. But this time they have asked for what? Child. But see, again they are what? They are saying that in the digital era. Challenges faced in the digital era. Fine. So you should remain updated about what the problems are being faced in the digital era. And again, they are further asking what? Suggest measures the commission can initiate, tackle the issue. It is look like commission itself have asked this question. We are facing a lot of problem. In order to solve such matters, please ask this question to the UPSC aspirant and the good answer sent to us so that we can work on that. It's a clever way of what? Saving the money from the consultants. Because if you'll ask a consultant to provide a solution for this problem, then consultant, of course, it is going to charge. And they will charge, like McKinsey. Fine, they provide consultancies to the government and international firms, companies, governments, they provide their consultancy, McKinsey. Fine. And usually they consult to the government, but they charge for the consultancy. Fine. So they thought that, kaun consultancy ka charge le? Let's go for what? Let's go for put this question. See the language now. Suggest measures the commission can initiate to tackle the issue. Fine. It means clearly you have to suggest something which is already not there. This is the intention to write this line. So if you are going to write something which is already there, you are not going to get the marks. If you are going to mention something which is already there, so they will negate now. See, if you are going to evaluate the copy, fine, and instruction is to you with this question. What is the instruction for you? Examine the existing policies. So first, examine the existing policies. So you should know what are the existing policies. Second, suggest the measures commission can initiate to tackle the issue. So existing policies you should know, plus you should also mention certain new things which is already not there. Fine. So if you are going to miss any of the part, so question is actually what? Question is actually having 3 parts. First, you have to mention about what? National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Fine. Address the challenges faced by the children in the digital era. So what commission is doing for kids in what? Digital era. First you have to tell this. Then examine the existing policies. Then go for what? Suggestion to the commission. So 3 part. 3 part need to be addressed. Okay, and the third part is most difficult. And third part you can mention only when you know the second part. Why? If you do not know the second part, you are going to mention the same one in the suggestion. Then what they will do? If you are going to mention something as a suggestion, sir, stop providing them what? Stop providing a mobile phone. Problem solved. If kids are not going to have a mobile phones and they do not have access to the mobile phone, then automatically what? Then automatically the problem will be solved. And you know why this question is being asked? Because recently one country have banned social media for their kids. Australia. Okay, so they have picked this question from there. China already banned it. Fine. And they use artificial intelligence to have a surveillance on the kids. Whether they are using any form of social media platform or not. So China went to that level. Australia said that ban, but China went to that level. They are using the artificial intelligence in order to prevent students, kids, especially kids, to use social media. Fine. Abhi, what happened these days in India? If you have a phone, fine, parents have a phone and the kid is crying, what they do? They give the phone. And imagine that you have given the phone and police came in the evening and take you. To what? Take you to the police station and they charge you 50,000 rupees fine. Why? Because you have given the mobile phone to your kid who is of the 3 years age for 4 hours. So that is why we are imposing fine of 50,000 rupees on you. Pay it or serve the jail of 20 days. So this is how China is doing what? Surveillance on the young parents. And this is why parents do not want kid in China. So that was a proper article in the Indian Express. ये Indian Express के article में based question है. This question is based on Indian Express article, which have shown the concern कि government of India is not doing anything. Our commission is not doing anything in order to prevent such a issue. Fine. Then energy security and United Nations. So if we will overall see the assessment of the question paper, first of all, overall assessment of the question paper by going for what? A brief review of the question paper. So after going for a brief review of the question paper, what came in our mind? The thing comes in our mind, first of all, you should not expect a easy to moderate question paper always. Sometimes there will be high tide also, rather than always a low tide. There will be always a possibility of what? High tide, where the question paper is not going to be easy. Question paper is going to be what? Difficult to very difficult. You should not expect always there will be easy question paper. Number one. Number two, just reading of particular tidbits or compilations is not enough, which I always rant in my class. Read what? Newspaper. Read what? Newspaper. Compilations are not enough. Compilations are not enough. Can you solve this question paper with the compilation? Do one thing. Still, if you do not believe me, do one thing. From any so-called compilation people, you already know that whom I'm trying to refer. Fine. You already know that there are compilation giants who provide the compilation giants for 365 days. Fine. So they provide the compilation. Unka compilation uthao, take their compilation, read it properly, then try to solve this question paper. एक question नहीं लगेगा आपसे. You are not able to solve a single question. I'm challenging openly. Go for the compilations of past 1 year. Those people who are providing the compilations. Fine. Go for those compilations and then go to attempt this question paper. आप पूरा पढ़ के जाओ. Or one more thing, you should read the question paper first properly, memorize it, then read the compilation. Single question you are not going to solve those compilations because they have not addressed it. They have not addressed. These are some generic things which is coming from where? Newspaper. So that even if a kid or even an aspirant who do not have a luxury to go to Delhi or come to Hyderabad to prepare, but he anyhow able to access the NCRTs, newspapers, some good notes, and he's studying, he can solve this question paper. So UPSC have their own motive to create a level playing field for everyone. That is why it is UPSC in its 100 years clean image. They are in the existence for 100 years and they have complete clean image. So they are not going to compromise with their clean image. We are making a question paper which is favoring to someone. Fine. So this is why UPSC will do these such things. They will go for certain ways. Always catch me if you can. So for solving such question papers, you should read newspapers properly and basic conceptual understanding. So one proper reference book, NCRT, one proper reference book plus good reading of the newspaper will allow you to solve this question paper. But if you are not doing that thing, then you will not able to solve. Fine. This is how it is there. So the mantra for the next year question paper, all of you are going to appear in the next year or next to next year, have this thing in mind very clearly. Okay? Your notes, what you are going to do in the class, fine. NCERT, one reference book, plus a thorough reading of what? Newspaper on the issues, without going to be what? A very rigid classification of what? This is a polity issue. I have shown you 2 questions in this question paper. They are basically of paper 3, but they are being asked in where? Paper 2. So you should not bound yourself something. Boundaries are completely blurred by the UPSC. Okay, now let's go for systematically approach to the question number 1. Right? How to approach question number 1? How to approach question number 1? Approach to the question number 1. Right? Begin with, and see, I am giving this synopsis, and on the basis of this synopsis, you have to do the practice. The purpose of not just to have what? See, question paper can be discussed in this way also. Okay, I have did this discussion and I'll just let you know ki answer this in this way. I'm not going to do that. I have given you a comprehensive analysis of the question paper. Now, question by question, I'm going to give you an approach. How to approach that question. Fine. Prepare well and then write that answer for your practice purpose, so you will get an idea how to approach the question and in what way the answer is written. So this is the purpose of this discussion. Okay, so right, begin with mention of RPA. Begin with mention of RPA with section 123 of RPA. With section 123 of RBA, which have mention of corrupt practice. Which have mention of corrupt practice. And emphasize on interference. Emphasize on interference, direct or indirect. Direct or indirect. Interference, direct or indirect, with free exercise. With free exercise of electoral right. Okay. Now, if you see the question, what question is saying that? Discuss the corrupt practice for the purpose of Representation of People Act. Analyze whether the increase in the asset of the legislature and or the associate disproportionately to their known sources of income would constitute undue influence and consequently a corrupt practice. Fine. So, free and fair election is going to be happen only when the entire process is free and fair. How it will be fair? Fine. How it will be fair? Candidate have to declare what assets they do have. Fine. Candidates have to declare how much assets they do have. If a candidate is declaring he have an asset of only 10 lakh rupees, but when he got elected, you came to know that he is having the assets of 100 crore. He have mentioned on his affidavit to the election commission I am holding the asset of how much? I am holding the asset of 10 lakhs. But later on you found that this person, he himself later on declared that actually I am having assets of how much? 100 crore. So his affidavit was right or wrong? Wrong. People have perceived he is a normal person, a normal human being with a very limited source of income, but actually is holding what? Huge amount of income. So what happened? This year you have filed your affidavit. In that affidavit you have mentioned I am having case number 2. This is the case number 1, case number 2. In case number 2, what happened? You have mentioned you are having the assets of 10 lakh rupees worth. Next year when you are going to file for another election, you have mentioned that your assets are actually 50 crore. So within a year your assets has been increased from 10 lakh to how much? 50 crore. So you are being challenged in the court of law. Then you said that actually there was a clerical error last time was an error in the calculations, and that is why what? That is why it was shown as how much? 10 lakh. Actually it is how much? 50 lakhs or 50 crore. Fine. Now the question arises whether his candidature. Why? Because when he mentioned 10 lakhs last time, he got elected and he is an elected representative right now. Now he is saying that how much asset I do have? I have the asset of 50 lakhs. Fine. Now the question is how your assets has been increased within a year by how much? 40 lakhs. Show me the proof. So rather than showing the proof, he is saying that when the last time my income was being calculated, there was an errors in the calculation, and that is why it was shown as how much? 10 lakh. It was actually 40 lakhs. It was actually how much? 40 lakhs. So there is no discrepancy or there is no corrupt usage of resources. My income was 40, now it is reached to what? 50. So I am not a guilty. Fine, this is what he is saying that. But the prosecution is saying that no, even it is a clerical error. Why you have not informed earlier? Why you are informing right now? If it is an error, why you are informing to the court right now? So what Supreme Court have did in the recent judgment, the very recent judgment, Supreme Court said that it will not form a corrupt practice if it is not going to provide a substantive sources through which he has increased the income, if it is not properly visible there. Fine. If it is not properly visible there, how he has increased his income, then it will evolve as a corrupt practice. But if he is able to show that this is the way how he have increased his income over the period of time, then it will be not considered as a what? Corrupt practice under what? RPA. So if you have mentioned wrongly, but you are able to prove it is wrongly mentioned, and I have this legitimate sources of income, it will be not considered as what? A corrupt practice. Fine. Now, why there is a confusion? Confusion is because this is a case of assets. In the case of assets, Supreme Court recently said this thing. What Supreme Court said that? Okay, maybe you have made a mistake. Maybe you have made a mistake and you are able to show all the sources of your income. Okay, so it will be considered as a mistake and it will be not mounted to what? Corrupt practice. But in the previous case, Supreme Court said that regarding to the not economic corruption. Another case went back to in 2014-15. What happened? A candidate in his affidavit, he has not mentioned he was criminally prosecuted. Fine. You have hide some case, criminal charges are on you. So you hide the criminal cases and it was found it later. Fine. So in the assets case, what Supreme Court is saying that? In the asset case, Supreme Court is saying that if those assets are correct, but not mentioned by the mistake, then it is not mounted to what? Corrupt practice. But in the case of criminal prosecution on the candidate, Supreme Court is saying that if you was under criminal prosecution and you have not mentioned, that amount to what? Corrupt practice. So in one case, Supreme Court is accepting the clerical error, and in other case, Supreme Court is not accepting the clerical error by saying that criminal matter is more severe than what? Economic matter. So there is a discrepancy in the Supreme Court's view. Supreme Court in one case saying that if there is a clerical error, check it, and if it is properly mentioned there, we will not going for your removal as a representative. But in the criminal offense, Supreme Court is saying that no, even if it is a clerical error, you should be what? Removed. So this is why they have asked this question in this case. But even this question is going to be what? Contradiction. Why? Because the new judgment came just 10 days back. The new judgment of the Supreme Court have just came 10 days back. So if you are not going to mention 10 days back judgment, then what will happen? According to the Supreme Court's judgment of 2014-15, according to Supreme Court judgment, the error made by you while filing your affidavit under RPA will amount your removal from the post. But in the recent judgment, Supreme Court said that if the error happened, fine. If the error happened and candidate is able to show the causes of that error, why this error happened, then his candidature is not mounted to be what? Removed. But in the previous judgment, what Supreme Court said that if the clerical error is found, fine, it will be considered as what? It will be considered as a valid ground for your removal as a candidate. But what was the context? Criminal charges. This time what Supreme Court said that? Supreme Court said that this is not a criminal charges. It is a mention of assets. And if while mentioning those assets, mistake is being committed, fine. So that mistake is not to be that extent so that we can remove that candidate from as a public representative. But in previous case, what they said that you will be removed. But what was the scenario? Criminal case. Here it is what? Economic case. Understood? Write it down. In a Krishnamurti versus Shivakumar 2015 case. 2015 case. Supreme Court held that non-disclosure of criminal antecedents, antecedents, antecedents in affidavit does amount undue influence. Hence a corrupt practice. Because it vitiates, vitiates voters' right to an informed choice. However, Supreme Court in Supreme Court in versus Kova Lakshmi, Kova Kova space Lakshmi, Kova Lakshmi case. Kova Lakshmi case, in the bracket you can mention 14th of August 2025. Clarified. When non-disclosure of financial information in nomination affidavit does not by itself make acceptance of nomination improper. And it also not amount to corrupt practice. Under Section 123 of RPA. Fine. Now write the next point. By going through above two cases, it is clear Supreme Court uses natural justice. Supreme Court uses natural justice concept to address such cases. However, in order to resolve such issues, there is a need to properly codify such provisions. Section 123 of RPA in more elaborative manner. As well as more detailed scrutiny of Form 26 verification is required. Fine. Next line. A time-bound readdressal of election petition strict punishment strict punishment for willful concealment, by calibrating section 125A, by calibrating section 125A of RPA and mention of public dashboard for affidavits, by candidate will create more transparency and less ambiguity. With respect to matter of corrupt practice under RPA. Tanush, you have asked me for RPA. I have sent you one document of RPA. You forgot that. I have sent you RPA document. I have sent you. You can check. You can check again. I have sent you the RPA document. In that RPA document, section 123 was specially highlighted. Fine. I can also do this. कि मेरा बताया हुआ question आया. But it doesn't matter if you're not able to write. It doesn't matter whether the question came, it is not a big deal. Fine. If teacher is going to teach in the comprehensive manner, question will definitely come. But will not come question exactly how it's supposed to come. Fine. Not will come exactly. What ultimately you have to do, it is all of your skills. Fine. We as a teacher, just a motivating factor. Fine. To encourage you, to inform you, to enable you. But ultimately, you have to do the question in the exam. So, if you do not know the section 123 of RPA, section 125A of RPA, it is not possible for you to get even more than 2 marks in this question. If you do not know the exact case, for example, these 2 cases which I have mentioned, it is almost impossible for a genuine candidate who is working very hard to be get selected. Even for that candidate, it is not possible to recall those cases. So how to handle such questions? When you are not able to recall the case, just mention the Supreme Court's verdict. In one of the case related to RPA's corrupt practice back in early 2020 or early 2010. You are not able to recall the exact year, 14 tha ki 15 tha. It was 14, 15 or 16. Fine, 14, 15 or 16. In the middle of second decade of 20th century. You can mention this now if you are not able to recall the exact year, if you are not able to recall the exact judgment, exact case. So how to handle such situation? Rather than mentioning the case or wrong case, what you can mention? See, in this case, what happened? In this case, 2 cases are there. One case is of 2015, other case is of 2025, 14th of August 2025. If you are not able to recall the exact name of the case, how you can say that? But you are able to recall anyhow in the August 2025. So you can mention that directly. In August 2025, one of the most important case related to what? Corrupt practice. Supreme Court have given this verdict. Whereas almost a decade back, you are not able to recall the exact year, 2014, 15, you are not able to recall. So you can mention a few years back in another case. No need to. This is what people will not able to understand actually. How I am able to remember such long cases and verdict. And verdict याद करना पड़ेगा भाई. Verdict तो you have to remember. And RPS itself is a very important. RPA itself is very important, and certain sections of RPA are very important. And especially this section, which is what? Which is a bedrock for many cases. RPA itself having somewhere around 100 to 150 sections. When it is told to the students that you have to study RPA, Representation of People Act, you have to study RPA 1951 and RPA 1952. Fine. So, okay, RPA. When the student went to that RPA, he found that somewhere around 150 sections are there. How I can remember 150 sections? Arey bhai, they are not asking you to remember all 150 sections. Only those sections which create a question mark on a functioning of what? Free and fair election, electoral process. Those sections are important. How I will get those sections? Padho na. For that purpose, you have to read once. You have to read once. Otherwise, what you will do? You will search on internet. Important provisions of RPA. Falana, Tikana, Dhamaka, Coaching Institute. Fine. So Coaching Institute have compiled that kit for you. But Coaching Institute who have compiled? That is another question. So those people who are looking for those compilations and all, I always have question for them. Who is compiling that thing? You are thinking that some extraordinary genius have compiled that thing. No. Those people who are appearing in the civil service exam and they are not able to fund themselves for their preparation, they go for part-time work and then they do this work. They are not those genius people who are making those content, compilations and all. They are average candidate who are suffering some financial crisis, and that is why they go to the part-time job and they compile that thing. So it is done by an average person. So maybe they are missing certain important facts. So yes, you have to do an extra work, but that work is going to be consolidated. That is one-time hard work. When you will go for the RPA reading, it will take some time. But that work is going to be very long-term process. Till then, you are going to appear in the civil services exam. You need that RPA. You can go to that your made notes and read it and appear in the exam. It will be more workable for you. Shortcuts are not going to work. Okay, so in this 10 marker question, what you will address? You will address the correct practice by mentioning section 123 and section 125A of RPA. Then you will mention that disproportionate assets, they are known source of income, constitute undue influence. And if it is being proven, then candidature will be what? Removed. Fine. However, Supreme Court have went for two different approach when section 123 and section 124A is in the question. In the case of criminal cases, Supreme Court have taken very strict word by word literal definition of this, and they have rejected the candidature. Whereas in the case of financial offense, they have went for more lenient approach. Case in point, this one. So that triggers a confusion. In order to solve that confusion, this need to be done and conclude the answer. This is how to write this answer. Understood? So you're supposed to write this answer and submit for the evaluation. Submit for the evaluation. Once you will write this answer, submit for the evaluation. Write one answers and submit for the evaluation and get the feedback. Fine. So that is why immediately I have all those answers. I have all those answers, but I'm not going to release all those answers immediately. 5 answers I will release so that you can do the practice and you can compare your answer with the model answer. Okay, now go to the next question. What question is saying that? Comment on administrative tribunal as compared to the court system. Assess the impact of recent tribunal reforms. Recent tribunal reforms through rationalization of tribunal made in 2021. Up here, just see what they are writing here. Assess the impact of rationalization. Comment on the need of administrative tribunal as compared to the court system. Assess the impact of recent. Fine. They are mentioning what word? They are mentioning the word recent. Okay. And here, what word they are mentioning? 2021. So recent is also mentioned and 2021 is also mentioned. So 2021 is a recent. Is 2021 a recent? According to UPSC, it is a recent. Fine, because the tribunal reforms happen in which year? 2021. So they have went for the tribunal reforms in 2021. And when the tribunal reforms happened in 2021, case went to the Supreme Court. Fine. And they started having, see, we have a tribunal system under which article? Under which article tribunals are mentioned? 323A and 323B. So Article 323A and Article 323 talks about what? Tribunal, A and B. Fine. So these two acts talks about tribunals in India. Fine. So what happened when this Tribunal Act was passed? So multiple tribunals have been formed. Fine. This tribunal, that tribunal. And that Tribunal Act, fine. When this Tribunal Act or Amendment Act was passed, they have excluded the jurisdiction of whom? High courts. However, later on, the jurisdictions of this High Court's exclusion. See, tribunal is being formed. If tribunal have given any decision, then that decision you can directly challenge at where? Supreme Court. Means the judicial review power of High Court was excluded. Supreme Court in another case said that no, if you are not satisfied with whom? You are not satisfied with the tribunal's order, you can go where? You can go to the High Court first, then you can go where? Supreme Court. So what happened? Lower court, High Court and Supreme Court. When these tribunals were formed, so tribunals started working separately, parallelly to whom? High Court. So what happened? Lot of tribunals has been set up in India. Fine. And then what is happening? Because these tribunals which are being set up, they are working parallelly with whom? High Court. But their decision will be challenged at where? High Court. Because Supreme Court have struck down that provision. See, again, Administrative Tribunal Act came through amendment in the Constitution. And they said that for administrative matter, you can directly go to whom? Tribunals. So tribunals will solve that matter. Okay? Now, this decision of the tribunal can be directly challenged to where? Supreme Court. This is what Amendment Act said that. But Supreme Court said that no, if tribunal will give any judgment, that judgment can be first challenged at where? High Court. Then it can go to where? Supreme Court. Fine. So from here, it is settled. Administrative Tribunal, High Court, and then where? Supreme Court. Fine. But what happened in the past few years? When I say few years, it means last 30 years. Fine. In past 30 years, there is a mushrooming of tribunals. Lot of tribunals has been established, and that is creating rather than convenience, then chaos. More and more chaos. So this is why in 2021, Government of India have made a bold move. And what bold move have mentioned? They did what? In the case of tribunal reform, they said that what we are going to do? We are going to make these tribunals as a part of High Court system. Not High Court, but High Court system. So they can function under the guidance of whom? High Court. And if they will function under the guidance of High Court and in a more organized manner, then the tribunals are going to deliver effectively. Because what happened? Now, earlier one tribunal was there. So you know that I have to go to this tribunal. Now you have mentioned 4 tribunals. Now person is confused. Shall I go to this tribunal or shall I go to this tribunal? So you have mentioned your case in the tribunal number 1. That tribunal number 1, your case came after 3 months. And after seeing your case, tribunal said, oh, you are in the wrong tribunal. You have to go to that tribunal. So you said, okay, sir, I will go to that tribunal. You went to that tribunal. Now that tribunal saw that, oh, it is the wrong tribunal. You have to go to the third tribunal. So this is why what happens, lot of litigation happen. Fine. Lot of litigations happen. Example, मैं आपको proper example देता हूँ. There is a Central Administrative Tribunal, CAT. Central Administrative Tribunal. Okay, Central Administrative Tribunal. So if you are a central government employee, okay, if you're an employee of central government and you have any dispute with your organization, then you can go where? That administrative tribunal, ki I am supposed to get my next perk or my promotion by this year as per the service rule. As per the service rule, my promotion is due in this year, but my department is not giving me the promotion past 2 years. Despite my records are completely clean, but I am not getting what? My promotion. So you reach to your administrative tribunal. Why? Because it is clear-cut mention of what? It is a clear-cut mention of if any central government employee have any such kind of the administrative matter where his problem is not being addressed by their department, then they can go to where? Central Administrative Tribunal, CAT. CAT, Central Administrative Tribunal. Fine. So you have a clarity. But if a company have a tax dispute with telecom department, fine, telecom department. Now they are confused whether they will go to the telecom dispute tribunal or they will go for tax tribunal to the Ministry of Finance. अभी उसको confusion है कि where I should go, because matter is what? Matter is of tax, but tax matter related to which department? Telecom department. So just giving you a case for your understanding. So this is why these number of tribunals which have mushroomed over the years. So that create a lot of confusion कि where to go. Where to go? So this is why government came with this idea कि we are going to reorganize our tribunal system and in such a way so that it can deliver an effective judgment. And better, rather than having tribunals here and there, better to have a tribunal under the umbrella of what? High court system. Fine. Now see what happened. Once you will come in the high court system, fine. So there should be a person who is going to adjudicate in the tribunal. Fine. So some person should be there who is going to listen your case. And the person is heading the tribunal. And that person who is heading the tribunal, who can head? So certain qualifications are there. Qualifications, if that qualifications is fulfilled by a person, he can be appointed as a member of what? Tribunal. And he can listen the case like a judge. So judge also have certain qualifications or not. So judges also need to have certain qualification. When government said that we are going to add those tribunals in the high court system, so certain people have questioned if these tribunals are going to have a system of high court, then the qualification for those people who are going to sit in the tribunal, they also have the same qualification of whom? A high court judge, judicial officer. Why you can have separate qualification? So that case was filed by Madras Advocates Association. Fine, they have filed this case. And when Supreme Court have addressed this case, Supreme Court said that no, government can go for different criteria of qualification for whom? Administrative tribunal. And then this case was what? Settled. In that context, they have asked this question. So question paper is easy. So hoga kya exam mein? When you are going to see this question paper and mention of administrative tribunal, you will be happy. Next question. What? Attorney General. Wow. Next question. This. That. This. Because people usually do not read the question paper thoroughly in the first instance. They will see from which area question came. Fine. RPA se question aa gaya. Attorney General ka question aa gaya. This question came. Once you are going to write the question and you are going to read the question word by word, then you realize that I am not able to write even a single line on this question. So this was a question paper. Fine. So this time I'm expecting highest marks will be somewhere around 100 to 105. Highest marks 100 to 105, not more than that. If they will go for very lenient marking, then it's fine, it can reach to what 120. But otherwise such kind of paper, आप देखो, आपको इतना डिटेल में पता होना चाहिए. You should read those details properly. Only then you are able to answer this question. Fine. So write how to approach this question. Main points. Right? Start your answer, right? Start your answer by contrasting why tribunal were created. Why tribunal were created? Why tribunal were created? With what 2021 change? What 2021 changed? Have triggered overall change. Have triggered overall change. Fine. And then mention the case of Madras Bar Association. Madras Bar Association. In the body of the answer, highlight importance of tribunal, comma 2021 rationalization and government's objective for such rationalization. Government's objective for such rationalization. For such rationalization. Then push for what need to be done. What need to be done in order to address the issue more effectively. For example, speed up the process of filling of vacancies in tribunals. Number 2, institutionalize tribunals commission. Institutionalize tribunals commission. By having National Tribunal Commission. By having National Tribunal Commission, which can address issues of recruitment, training, evaluation, training, evaluation, infrastructure across the tribunals. Infrastructure across the tribunals. Next, codify. Codify Madras Bar Association. Codify Madras Bar Association. Madras Bar Association. Compliant service conditions. Next point. In order to overall address that issue and achieve the objective of existence of tribunal. Achieve the objective of existence of tribunals. A rule-based approach. Rule-based approach through active feedback. Through active feedback based resolution. Active feedback based resolution with an existence of National Tribunal Commission. With an existence of National Tribunal Commission will pave a way for resolving and rationalizing tribunals functioning in India. Tribunals functioning in India. Okay, now the next question. It's a very interesting question. Compare and contrast President's power to pardon in India and in USA. Are there any limit to it in both countries? What is preemptive pardon? Fine. Everything is fine. Everything is going very well. Until unless what came? Preventive pardon. Anyone can guess? Preemptive pardon? Before conviction. But can anyone guess from where they have picked this question? Yes, very good. So what happened when Donald Trump, fine, when Donald Trump became a president, fine. So in US, the system is what? US have a system of lame duck president. US have a system of lame duck president. What happens? Once you are being elected, fine, immediately you are not going to get the president's position. It will take some time. So US president, who is president right now, election happened. New president got elected. But the new president will come into the office on 20th of January. He will come to the office in the 20th of January. And he declared as a president in the month of November itself. Fine. So it will take almost 1.5 months for the outgoing president to be remain president, but he is not allowed to take most important decisions. But still being as a president, he can take certain decisions. So that is why there is a duck. But that duck is a lame duck. So lame duck president system is there. So under that powers which president have, even a lame duck president, outgoing president, he have a power to pardon. And usually what we understood the power to pardon, We understood that you are being convicted and you went for president clemency. You requested, please forgive me. Fine. Then president will forgive you if he want. Fine. So what pardon means basically? You are being framed in a case went to the court has convicted you. You have appealed the court says no. You went to the higher court, they says no. Then you went to whom? President. Please consider my plea and forgive me. President said, okay, jao, maaf kiya. Fine. Pardoning power. This is what pardoning power. But what is preemptive pardoning power, which we do not have in our system? In India, what I have just told you, that is pardoning power. But in US, there is a system where president can give you what? Preemptive pardon. Means a case will be not filed against you. Case is not going to be even filed against you. So suppose that you feel that you did something. Okay, you did something, but you have did in the national interest. Fine. So suppose that you killed someone and you start saying that I killed that person in the self-defense. So what will happen? Court is going to prosecute you. Fine. If court is going to agree, you have killed that person in your self-defense. So they have given you what? You are free to go. But if court said that no, you have killed that person even with what? In the self-defense, but killing is not a right thing. So you have to serve 2 years of jail. You went to what? Higher court. They also said that 2 years of jail. Then again you went to the Supreme Court. They said no, 2 years of jail. Then you went to whom? President. But in US, you can directly go to whom? President. Even the case is going to be filed against you. Okay, so even the case is going to file against you, you can directly go to president and you can tell the president, see, I have did this thing and I have did this thing because of what? Because of this, self-defense. Please forgive me. And he forgives. Fine, he forgives. So, you being forgiven. Fine. That decision can be overturned by next president. In US. In US, the next president can do that. So what Joe Biden did that? Joe Biden have given preemptive pardon to his own son. To give his own son. And when the question was asked to whom? Donald Trump. He said that I will see this matter when I will go to the Oval Office. The office of US President. He said that. And that matter was in the news for at least 3-4 days. Indian Express went for proper explanation of preemptive pardon. I have highlighted that thing and I have told my students to read that thing. It is very important. But public was in their own mood. Fine. Now the question is here. So, compilation में नहीं मिलेगा preemptive pardon. Fine. चाहे वो 365 वाला हो या chicken 65 वाला हो. You are not going to get in the compilation. That's why I'm using sarcastic words, but I'm telling you very clearly, with all my experience, with all these things, don't fall in a kind of oversimplification. Oversimplification is the most dangerous thing to be out from this exam. Oversimplification, out. And people like oversimplification actually. Because people are not hardworking. They do not want to do the hard work. They are inspired by the smart work. Fine. कि यहाँ से ऐसे पढ़ लेते हैं. Let's go for certain. A lot of topics I think you have suggested you. Make particular frame of introduction and conclusion. इसको बना के दिखाओ. Make that framework of introduction and conclusion these questions. All the questions are statement based. Or many of the questions are having such wording, you cannot frame proper what? Introduction and conclusion. Every question need their own kind of the introduction, own kind of the conclusion. बना के दिखाओ इसमें ready-made. It's not going to work. Sometimes it's work. And I can be proven wrong. I can be proven wrong in certain cases. So what my point is? My point is to do not give a chance to other. To be what? To allow you to push you fail. They will push you to fail. So you have to prepare in such a way that any kind of the question paper will come, I'll do that. So even if you have read that thing in what? If you have read that thing in a proper what? In a just a for a knowledge purpose. Joe Biden case. Fine. So you are able to answer this question very easily. But if you are not going to able to answer, fine, it means if you have not read that, half of the marks you are going to lose because you are not going to write about preemptive pardon. Fine. And you are going to mention that what you have to do. When you know that what preemptive pardon is, you will mention that thing and you will mention the compare and contrast between what? Presidential power in India, presidential power in US. You will mention that what? You will mention that the Indian president do not have power of what? Preemptive pardon, but US president do have. Other contrasting difference. US president's pardoning power is independent. Independent means that is based on his conscience. If he feel that he need to be pardoned, he will pardon. But in India, president's power of the pardoning is completely based on aid and advice of whom? Council of Minister as per the ruling of Supreme Court. President do not have any power to use his conscience. He must be, shall be. The word appropriate word is what? Shall be only on the basis of the advice given to him whom? By Council of Minister. So if Council of Minister is going to say yes, it will be yes. President cannot say no. President acts only on what? Aid and advice of whom? Council of Minister. That is not in the case of whom? USA. Whereas one more difference. In the case of India, whether it is state law or it is central law, president has power for both, including armed forces tribunal case. So armed forces tribunal case, central means law made by the parliament or law made by the state government. President has power to pardon you in any of the three cases, whereas the US president has power only in the case of federal laws. So under the federal law, if you are being punished, only then president can give you what? President can give you the pardon. Otherwise, if you are framed under the state laws, then you have to go to the governor of that state for the pardoning. In India, governor have the power of pardon, but governor can give you the pardon only in what cases? Case related to state. Fine. Case related to state only. If it is out of the state of preview, then who? President. Fine. But here they are not asking the governor and who? President. They are asking whom? US President and Indian President. So these things you have to mention, and you have to mention preemptive pardon. So it can be written in very easiest way. Fine. So head of the state or the head of the executive has been given this power to consider those things which usually court cannot see. Usually courts are working on what basis? Usually courts are working on the principles of the law and justice. So sometimes they are not able to see the socio-economic things, and that is why the executives were given this power of pardon, which is mentioned in Indian Constitution as well as what? US Constitution. Though both head of the state have a power to pardon, but there are certain contrasting features of that pardoning power. Number one, fine. Number one, what you have mentioned, who can give the pardon on his own conscience? So US president can give the pardon on his own conscience, but Indian president have to give on aid and advice of whom? Council of Minister. Indian president have more wide power in terms of under which law he can give pardon. He can give pardon to any law of the land in India. Whereas in the case of US, he can pardon only under which law? Federal law. Third, in case of US, president have a preemptive pardoning power, which is not possessed by whom? Indian president. Fine, you have to write this line. Then you have to mention what is preemptive pardon. Okay. This what is preemptive pardon. So this is how you have to write this answer. Will you able to write, or shall I dictate this? You will able to write. So write, and I'll provide you the model answer. Then you can compare. Okay. And while writing answer in polity, remember that if any article or any section or any law related to that, you need to mention. If you will not mention, you will lose marks. So here, the article which is related to what? The article which is related to President's pardoning power. Article 72, you have to mention here. Fine, you have to mention here. And if you remember, fine, because usually what happens, certain books have, when they have explained the pardon power of President of India, fine, so they have compared the President power with the Governor power. Fine, but actually they need to compare with what? They need to compare with US President power. So this is why sometimes, as I said, that you are having the edge if you are having political science as an optional. Why? Because in the comparative politics, we have to compare the pardoning power of Indian president with the pardoning power of whom? US president. In IGP section, Indian Government and Politics section of political science, we have to discuss that pardoning power of Indian president with the US president. Not in GS. In GS, what we will do? We will only compare with whom? Governor. But in political science, you have to compare with whom? US president. Fine. So, why they have asked this question? It is quite questionable. Ki in generally in general studies, we do not compare to that extent. Like what we compare? Federalism we do compare. Structure of Indian Federation and structure of what? US Federation. But here what you are asking, not overall structure of, see, there is a topic in the mains examination, GS paper 2. Comparison of constitution. Fine. So comparison of constitution. So constitution we compare Indian constitution's nature and nature of what? Canadian constitution. Then compare with what? British constitution, American constitution, Australian constitution. So आप compare करते हो. You just comparing overall constitution. But what they did? They went inside president. They pick the president from here. They again open what? US president. They have picked what? US president. And not just president. Pardoning power of both president. Fine. And why they have asked? Because there was an article in the newspaper. When Joe Biden has given the preemptive pardoning now, then the article which I am mentioning of Indian Express, in that article they have compared the president of India's pardoning power and the pardoning power of whom? US president. So some people maybe draw this conclusion that Indian Express is better newspaper than the Hindu. It's nothing like that, because Hindu also went for that. Though Hindu have not went for such a detailed manner, but they also have mentioned this thing in their article. Preemptive pardoning. Fine. So you have to go for it. Write it and submit it for the evaluation. Fine. So Article 72 in the case of what? Indian President, pardoning power, and their Article 2. In US Constitution, it is Article 2 which provides the pardoning power to whom? President. So both articles need to be mentioned, compare and write. Fine. And then in the conclusion, you have to mention that preemptive pardoning power is more political in the nature. More political in the nature. And it is not just pardoning, it look like giving a favor. Fine. So you are favoring a person. So that is more questionable, and that is why our constitution makers have not went for such provision. So Indian president's pardoning power is more formal, legal and polity based, whereas the power of American president to pardon, it is more political in the nature. Understood? This important line you have to mention while concluding your answer. Understood? What is the next question? Discuss the nature of Jammu and Kashmir. I would like to dictate this answer because you are not able to write this answer. So write it. You will not able to write this answer, so write it fast and have a feeling you are writing mains examination. Fine. So just have a feeling you are writing the mains examination of this year and you have to finish this answer. Start. I'm not going to repeat. Okay? I'm not going to repeat. So just giving you a glimpse how to write the answer in the exam. Fine? The 2019 reorganization converted the erstwhile state into union territory with legislative assembly on the Puducherry type model, Article 239A in brackets. Puducherry type model, Article 239A. In this setup, the assembly nature is shaped by statute rather than full state autonomy. Its composition reflects the 2022 delimitation, and later amendments. Now heading, nature of JK Assembly after 2019. Number 1, JK is a UT with legislature. Article 239A applies like Puducherry, not Article 239AA like Delhi. This means legislature and council of minister are aid and advise the LG on the subjects within assembly competence. Point number 2, the 2022 Delimitation Commission have fixed 90 directly elected seats. 43 for Jammu, 47 for Kashmir. And introduced ST reservation for first time. ST reservation for first time. Separately 24 seats under Pakistani illegally occupation remain vacant and excluded from delimitation. Section 14A and 14B. Section 14A and 14B inserted for 1/3 reservation for women in the assembly. Which will take effect from next delimitation cycle. Fourth point. Following Supreme Court's 2023 directions, to restore democratic process. Assembly elections happened. However, Lieutenant Governor can promulgate, Lieutenant Governor can promulgate ordinance during assembly recess and acts in discretion in specified manner, on specified manner, including All India Service and Anti-Corruption Bureau. Political parties, next point, political parties in J&K are protesting against too much power accumulation within LG office. Too much power accumulation in LG's office. However, government's argument is also valid in the context of nature and historical disputes involved with Pakistan and sensitive national security issue. Which was also acknowledged by Supreme Court in 2023 judgment. Concluding remark. There is a need to have a fine balance. There is a need to have a fine balance between democratic process, people's right, and national security. There should be like perfect solar eclipse. Hence, there is a need for a gradual approach and constant and continuing process of more democratization of J&K as normalcy will return to J&K. According to B.R. Ambedkar, however good a constitution may be, it is sure to turn out bad because those who are called to work it, happen to be a bad lot. Next question. Actually, still I was little bit more lenient with you. I have not went for the exact speed. More speed is required because it's a 10 marker. Okay. So total 10 marker are 10 and 15 marker are also what? 10. So total word you have to write in the exam. How many words? Total word you have to write in the examination is 4,000 words. Fine. How much time you have to write this answer? Do you know that? How many words approximately you have written? How many words you have approximately written? Approximate. 135 to 145. That amount of word you have written. And you took how much? 5 minutes. Fine. 5 minutes you have took. To write how much? To write 130. In exam you have to write 150 words. And if you take 5 minutes, fine, 5 minutes. So what will happen? 5 minutes, 10 questions. That means 50 minutes to write. And 1.5 minute required to think. Okay, 1.5 minute is required to think. Think means how to write, what to write, where to write. Fine, it will take 1.5 minute. So total you are going to take 70 minutes. Fine, 70 minutes to finish what? 10 marker. Fine, to finish what? 10 marker. That means for 15 marker, you need approximately 200 minutes. Fine, 200 minutes, sorry, 200, not 200 minutes, but at least 140 minutes you need in 15 marker because questions are in 3 parts. Fine. So 140 plus 70 total 210. And how much you have in the exam? 180. So you are way behind. And I am going very conservative. Even if I will decrease some number of the time you are going to take in the 15 minutes, still you will lose the question paper. At least 2 questions you are going to miss. Minimum 2 questions. So this is why what you have to do. You have to speed up a lot in order to what? Finish that 10 marker first. Then jump to go for what? 15 marker. Or immediately go for what? First 15 marker, then go for what? 10 marker. So if you will go for 10 marker later on, okay? 10 marker later on, then you always going to have this chance. If you are going to lose 10 marker, you are just going to miss 10 marks. If you are going to lose a 15 marker, directly 15 marks is what? Reduced. So this is why it is a better technique to go for what? First 15 marker, then go for what? 10 marker. And you have to speed up a lot. Otherwise, you are going to not able to finish the question paper in the given time. Okay, this is always going to happen. Fine. Now, do you want one more session on that so that we can go for completion of this discussion? Or you do not want, then I will provide you the model answers of these questions. Or you want a discussion?
One more session, sir.
Huh?
One more session.
No, if you want one more session, it's fine. I do not have any issue. Fine. But the questions which we have discussed, fine, the questions which we have discussed, you should write first. Okay? You should write those questions first. What we will do, we will go for proper, we will do one more thing. Like, as I have given you this opportunity, you can write at your own. Fine. In few questions, what I will do, I will explain the question. I will give you the theme, and you can do the practice here itself. I will give you the time. Fine. First, I will explain the question. Then, I will give you the theme, how to write. Fine. How to write. Then, I will give you the fixed time. Finish this answer in 4.5 minutes. Fine. So, you will get a real-time experience. And for few questions, I will explain. I will let you know how to write. Fine. Theme is explained. Then I will change the question and I will ask you to write the change question in the class in the given time. So you will have a better practice. So if we are going to discuss this question paper, make it more meaningful. Just a routine discussion is not going to help you all. What is the purpose of having this discussion? The purpose of discussion is to give you the insight, how to feel that exam like situation and condition, and how to get the insights, how to address those problems. So what we will do for paper 2, we are going to do that, and for paper 3, I will also go for detailed discussion like this one. So if you want, we can institutionalize for next few days, either in the morning or in the evening. We will have these sessions and we will discuss all the questions, fine, of GS paper 2 as well as GS paper 3, which is my area 2 and 3. I will discuss question by question and I'll explain you the question. Then I'll give you another question on the same theme to write in the given time. So you will get a perfect practice of how to write the answer in the upcoming sessions. Fine. Okay. So I'm winding up here, but we will continue from the Attorney General question in the next session. All right. Thank you.